Hey, it's Emma. I have really been enjoying my summer break. I just got a new desk set up and I feel really good sitting here. So I'm looking forward to getting to sit here more.
That's exciting.
That felt like first day of school vibes. I really enjoyed my break.
This is a new year. It's a new me.
New chair, new me.
Hi, I'm Jolie, and I bought a new laminator, so if it ain't moving, it's getting laminated. This is totally like school supplies vibes. Like, yes, I got Post-its, I got pens, I am good. I love school supplies. I am excited to go and get school supplies for the girls, like to get folders and stuff. Like they're doing homeschool, but still.
Yeah, you need that stuff.
Yeah, you still need it, and it's still fun. All this freshly sharpened colored pencils and glue sticks, and it's just great. All of it's great.
I stayed up too late last night reading about like different, what would it be called? Like the scale of pencils, like
the softness.
Yeah. A number 2 pencil is an HB. So it's like I guess it's like an even amount of clay and granite. So it's just like the middle ground of pencils is what a number 2 is. I read about pencils for a very long time last night.
You're like, yeah. Pencils.
Like mechanical pencils are like very hard.
It's not made of lead anymore. It's made of granite now.
Yeah, it's granite and clay. Okay. And like I was reading, like when you get a shitty pencil that doesn't sharpen very well and it like basically just scratches your paper, it has too much clay in it.
Oh.
And if it's like super smudgy, then it's more granite. So it's like if you want to do like loose sketching or stuff like that, you would do a higher number with the letter B. And like technical drawings, higher number, letter H.
I was really cold this morning, so I put on a sweater and now I'm like sweating.
You look cute.
Thank you.
I should have like gone and put on lipstick. Soon my desk will have that kind of stuff at it. Like, should I like draw on my lips with a highlighter?
Do you remember when people were using crayons and stuff to make makeup and they were like, well, it's non-toxic. It's like, well, just because it's non-toxic doesn't mean you should put it all over your face and around your eyes, dumbass.
Stupid.
Incredibly stupid. Totes.
You know what else is stupid?
What else is stupid? Please do tell.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh my God. Okay, so I really didn't know all that much about her except for that she was part of the whole like child predator thing with Jeffrey Epstein. And a lot of people that were like testifying against her, like her old friends and shit, were like, yeah, she was actively searching out like nubile children from playgrounds.
Wow, I actually didn't know that.
You know, when you don't have proof of something, you got to take it for what it is. But these are like her old friends who were like I thought she was doing modeling casting calls, but she was actively going to playgrounds and giving her number to children.
That
nubiles. Like, if you use that word, I feel like you're an ultra creep. And then I tried to find information about what exactly they found on Jeffrey and, like, if they got any recordings or anything from the Lolita Express, but I didn't get that far into it, so you can tell me.
I'm basically an expert on Epstein. I'm joking. I mean, I did watch the documentary on Netflix, which was really good. And I know there's another one coming out too. I don't remember what network. I don't know if you do. I'm an expert. I'm not though. It's just fascinating to me. His whole way of like becoming like a person that does things that has money is like super weird and super interesting because he's like a fraud.
Yeah.
And I mean, he didn't graduate from college. He taught at a college having no degree. He somehow became like a money manager without having any sort of experience doing that. I think that he's just very charming.
That was the one thing that was really consistent and like all of the things that I watched was just like he was just very charming. And apparently he would make threats, but the threats would be so like you couldn't directly say that they were a threat and he would say it with like a smile on his face, like a fucking psychopath. Well, you know, if you keep coming after me, like it's going to be dangerous for a lot of people.
Yeah, I read that Ghislaine did stuff like that too. Watch out when you're running on, the West Side Highway, like,
watch out when you're walking down the street. Anyone could shoot you.
I don't know. So, I mean, I'm not an expert, but I'm definitely like intrigued by this. And like, you know, you and I are taking like this little break from doing our big dives or whatever. But I've just been reading a lot about Ghislaine because I've been wondering, like, what the fuck happened to that bitch? Because,
Right?
like, even from like when I watched the Netflix documentary, it seemed that she served like such an important role in the whole thing because she is like the trust figure.
Like a woman
I
wouldn't
mean,
do this. If it was dangerous, she wouldn't involve you in this.
yeah. And she's like smart and
Mhm.
beautiful. And these girls are that were targeted were often troubled or poor or whatever. And having this
Right.
woman, or you know, maybe even had like issues with their moms, or you know what I
Right,
mean.
like
So
fraught
having
connections.
so like having this woman be like, oh, like I'm gonna help you, like I'm gonna pay for your school, or you know, whatever.
Right.
It's like okay, like this is cool. I'm safe. She was born in 1961 to Robert and Elizabeth Maxwell. She was the youngest of 9 siblings, and her dad was, I think, a tabloid owner in the UK. Yeah, a media mogul, I wrote. And he's Rupert Murdoch's rival.
Oh.
Yeah. And, you know, Rupert Rupert Murdoch owns the
Right.
tabloid The Sun. So in 1991, Ghislaine's dad died on a boat, and people thought that it was a suicide. Like he jumped over, he had a heart attack, and then he drowned. Everybody thought it was suicide. His finances got all like fucked up. I think he like did something with everybody's pensions, like all of
Mm.
his employees' pensions, and just like some fucked up rich person, like fraud shit.
Right.
You
Just
know?
like garden variety fucked up rich person shit.
Yeah. So people thought he killed himself, but Ghislaine never thought so. The boat that he died on was named after her. It's called Lady Ghislaine.
Aw.
Her dad was also a Holocaust survivor. And like for some reason, some people thought he had something to do with like Israeli intelligence. I actually should have gone further into this, but I was like, wait, keep it shallow. Don't go
Yeah.
there. So when Ghislaine's dad died, she moved to New York City and she began to work in realty. And that's when she and Jeffrey Epstein met.
So was she still rich at this time or
So I actually got some mixed information about that. I read somewhere that she had a $100,000 a year trust fund that was set up by her family, which would make sense because it's like even if you go like into debt with your business and stuff and screw up, if you're a responsible, wealthy person, you more than likely set up a custodial account for your child, you know? So like even if all his money got fucked up, she still would have her money and her siblings would still have their money. Then other reports say that she like went to New York super broke. That's why she ended up doing all this stuff with Epstein. But
I feel like even if you're super broke, you probably aren't going to be like a child predator. I would
right.
assume.
Yeah. Well, I guess what some people say is like, well, she lost her dad and she lost all her money. And this guy is like a controlling man,
So she like
you
know, got
know, with a lot
brainwashed
of money.
essentially.
And like she wanted his approval. Like he was like
Right.
daddy and whatever. Yeah, so they met. This is like 1991, 1992 or something, early 90s. And it was actually Ghislaine who introduced Jeffrey Epstein to like most of the high caliber people that ended up being involved in this stuff, like Prince Andrew, you know, because she's a socialite from Europe. Like she knows these people, like he doesn't.
Right. His name was Andy to her.
Right? So weird. I read some weird stuff about him. He like had some sort of marionette made of himself and like brought it on that private plane and was like touching people with it and like just being a total weirdo with this marionette. And the marionette was a gift to him from Ghislaine.
Ugh. Ugh.
Like what?
God. Like if you're going to
Right?
be a creep, at least be a normal creep. Don't
I
like
know.
make your puppet touch people. You
I
fucking
know.
freak.
I know. It's like what the fuck?
What's wrong with you? It's like a whole layer that I would love to know more about, but I would hate to know more about.
I know.
Like it would haunt my
I,
dreams. So she got to New York.
yeah, she
She
got to New
may or
York.
may not have been somewhat poor.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? But she was working in realty. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of backstory. I'm not
Mhm.
going to front. I don't have a ton of backstory. Evidently, like she met Epstein. They started hanging out a lot.
Epstein
Nobody
was
really
from
knows.
like Brooklyn, right?
Yes, I believe that
Okay.
he's from Brooklyn and
Oh my God.
he
One of the
taught.
interviews that I saw, this lady was like, yeah, he was just like some Goomba from Brooklyn. I was like, oh my God, do people still say that?
Italians on the East Coast, I guess.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, do we even need to sum up what's going on? Like, if you live under a rock, Jeffrey Epstein has been trafficking young girls like under the guise of massage since like 1994 or some shit in Palm
Right.
Springs. And
And
there
girls
was like a
actually
whole,
went to the police in '99, right? And the police and FBI did absolutely nothing, and in fact gave him only a year for soliciting sex from a teenager.
yeah. And he was, during that year, he was allowed to leave jail and like go to his office for like 6 hours a day. Or like, you know what I mean? He was still like definitely just
Doing his
living his
thing.
life. Alexander Acosta, who was our Secretary of Labor at the time, was the district attorney in Palm Springs. He basically did nothing. And that like somehow is like matters now, I guess, because he ended up.
Any judge or lawyer who has looked at, like, the transcripts or of, like, the sentencing have been like, "What the fuck happened here?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was so very clear that he was trafficking young girls for sex
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
taking them to a private island where they couldn't go to anyone to get help.
I
Like,
know.
how did this happen? How did this continue for another, like, almost 20 years?
Who knows? It's like, I don't know if it's like the privilege of the wealth because of the way it was working and because the girls were being paid for sex and like most of them were teenagers. Like somehow it just kind of became more like, well, these girls are bad and
Right.
he's good and fuck these little girls. Like I actually have a quote. So this was from a Vanity Fair article from 2019. A source close to Maxwell says she spoke glibly and confidently about getting girls to sexually service Epstein, saying this was simply what he wanted and describing the way she'd drive around to spas and trailer parks in Florida to recruit them. She would claim she had a phone job for them. And you'll make lots of money, meet everyone, and I'll change your life. The source continues. Ghislaine was in love with Jeffrey the way she was in love with her father. She always thought if she just did one more thing for him to please him, he would marry her. Maxwell had one other thing to tell this woman. When I asked what she thought of the underage girl, she looked at me and said, "They're nothing, these girls. They are trash."
Wow.
You know, I don't know if that comes from like being an elitist or classist, or if
Yeah,
it's like that
totally.
she didn't like that to please this man that she loved, like she needed to do this, or you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I mean,
I
it
even
doesn't really
question
matter
if she
why.
loves him, though, if she did love him,
I don't
because it
know.
seems like she's the type of person who will just do whatever to get what she wants
Yeah. I
based
mean,
on
I don't
her
know.
previous behaviors and, like, the things that people have reported her as saying. It makes me think that she was willing to do whatever it took to have a fabulous lifestyle
Yeah. Yeah.
and to meet important people to improve her own status.
Yeah. But I think that she already had that status. I mean, she was a socialite in the UK way
Right, but
before
can you
meeting
ever
Epstein.
be famous enough? Like,
True. I mean,
once you start collecting money and that becomes really important to you, it seems like it's a
mm-hmm.
slippery slope to really having that be the only thing that is important to you. Like, if people kind of, like, pamper you enough and, like, don't call you on your shit, you're more likely to be like, "Well, I just want money."
Yeah. And I think also like being popular was
Mhm.
important because I feel like when you're super rich, like you're just super rich, like you're just like, yeah, money, whatever.
Yeah, $4 million a week yacht, why not?
Oh my God, right?
Fucking Bezos.
I know. And I like can't stop ordering shit from Amazon and I like
I
try to be a good
know.
person and I'm just like, I
I
know.
sold my soul to good prices.
Dude, I just bought a spin bike, like not a Peloton because they're like 2 grand,
Crazy.
but just like some weird one off Amazon that had good reviews and it came today. I'm like,
You with
really
your spin
excited.
bike, me with
I
my
know, so
laminator. We're
excited.
gonna change the world.
Right.
I'm gonna change my life
Uh,
starting tomorrow. It's always starting tomorrow.
yeah, not today. Not today. I'm
Maybe
resting today.
maybe that was, Ghislaine's problem too. She was always like, "Look, tomorrow I'm gonna turn my life around, but today
Oh my God.
I'm gonna find some nubile girls."
I doubt it, dude. So anyway, I mean, during this time, like when she first started hanging out with Epstein and in the early 90s, she was described as friendly, chatty, and part of a fashionable clique. You know, and nobody really knows if they were actually like an item, if they were dating.
Right.
He referred to her often as his best friend.
He friend zoned her.
I guess, I don't know. He
Like, "Is
claimed
that
that
your
she wasn't on his
girlfriend? We're real close friends.
besties. We're besties.
Besties."
Yeah, and he said that he didn't pay her either, but there's record of it. Like they're just like full of shit, these guys.
I mean, even if he didn't pay her, he probably did things for her that made it worth her time.
Yeah, and I mean, and she did things for him that made it worth
Mhm.
his time. I mean, not only like the girls, but she like learned how to fly helicopters so that she could like fly girls to Pervert Island.
I read that, and I also read that, like I said, the Lolita Express, which was the helicopter, was fully spy cammed with audio.
Oh, I believe
as
it.
well.
Well, and I think all of that was for blackmail. Like, I'm not sure that all these people were actually like fucking these girls. It's like everybody knows about it, and like you have money, and now we're blackmailing you.
Like, you know that we're doing these things. It's going to look real bad for you if we put this out. You were at this party.
Give us
you
a
knew
bunch
something
of money
was happening.
because we're both frauds, you know, is like basically it.
I mean, is there any record that you've seen of them like extorting money from people?
No, but that's just really what I think. Well, okay, so let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein for a minute. I forget the guy's name because I didn't write it down, but the guy who like owns The Limited and Victoria's Secret, they were like really close. Les Wexner.
That
Les
sounds
Wexner.
like a fake name.
I know, right?
It sounds like something where you look around the room and you just like put syllables together. Like, what's your name? L. Wexner?
That's who he is, Les Wexner. So he owns L Stores, which is like The Limited, Victoria's Secret. Epstein became his money manager when he was working at that firm that he just like magically got a job at. Like at this firm, they caught him for not having a college degree when he was teaching at Dalton School.
Was he at least good with money? Like, was he good at managing that stuff? Or did he just like completely fucking forge his way into everything and was like, well, gotta learn?
I'm not sure, but I do know that he like stole a bunch of money from Les Wexner. Yeah, and it seemed like they were like besties. Like the two of them were like BFFs. He gave Epstein like so much permission, like way more authority on his money and accounts than like makes sense.
Right.
You know, I'm pretty sure that he stole money from him. Like he created another account and was just kind of like funneling money from one account to another account. Like
like skimming a little off the top.
Yeah, and I think that's where like a large sum of his fortune came from, straight up. And then he also was involved in some other fraud thing with some other guy. These are facts. Fraud thing, some guy.
I'm ready to read to the court right now. I have all the facts. Here we go. Fraud thing, check.
Yep.
Court guy, check.
Yeah, I mean the cliff notes is
Lex Luthor.
Sucks. He's not the focus. Fuck this dude. Let's talk about Ghislaine. One of the girls who is the most well-known girl that they trafficked is Virginia Roberts. Let me say her last name. Giuffre. But her name is Virginia Roberts. The other last name is a new name, like from her marriage. So
it doesn't even count, really.
It doesn't even matter. So in 2015, this woman, Virginia Roberts, filed a defamation lawsuit against Maxwell, which has been settled since then. I think in like 2017 or something. But anyway, she's like the best known victim. She's the one who said that she was forced to have sex with Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. Also that she was abused by the lawyer Alan Dershowitz, who's like a defense attorney.
Oh my God.
Or like she filed this case back then. I guess because Ghislaine Maxwell and like her attorneys and all sorts of people were like throwing her under the bus. Like, this isn't real. Like, fuck you, lady. And she's like, no, like this is all like real. Like,
right.
You're in trouble. Now that Ghislaine has been arrested and she's having her own case, and also like that Jeffrey Epstein had his case or whatever, that we all know what happened there. Different documents from this case are now being released, or what's the right word for that? Like they're unlocked, or
are they
unzipped? Something.
They've been unzipped.
They're unsealed.
Yeah.
Some of the depositions from this case were unsealed. And in these files, like, there's just a lot of information, and like a lot of it I want to talk about has to do with Ghislaine Maxwell. But really quick, I just want to say something about Donald Trump, because like, I don't know.
Because he said, like, I wish her well or whatever.
Yeah, I have the quote here. He's like, I haven't been following the case that much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach. And I guess they lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. She stated on the record, Virginia Roberts, that even though Trump was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein's, that he never had sex with her or any of the girls.
That she knew of.
Yeah, that she knew of. And I guess that he would say things like, oh, like Jeffrey has the life, but like that was about it.
Well, he also just might not be attracted to girls that age. It seems like he's attracted to older women, not older than him, but like, you know, in their 20s.
Well, and he's also like a serial monogamist. Like I feel like he just like has wives.
Well, he has wives, but I think he has wives as trophies, it seems like, and then he will do whatever the fuck he wants with, like, sex workers and
Mm.
which, you know what? If all parties agree to it, fine.
Right, I
Like,
know,
I
I
have no
know.
judgment of that, it's just a matter
Mhm.
of, like, the whole calling certain people nasty women or, like,
I know, I know.
criticizing their personalities or their deeds, and then saying to about Ghislaine, "I wish her well."
Yeah,
Like,
I know,
you know
it's like
exactly what the fuck is happening with her.
I know.
Child trafficking.
Well, and it's probably scary for him because he's, like, in pictures and, but anyway,
Yeah,
that's not the
I would
point.
be
I just
scared.
through, the unsealing of these depositions, like, that interesting fact came out about Trump,
Mhm.
which whatever, but also just, like, stuff about Ghislaine, like, she lied under oath and, like, she's being charged for perjury now, like, included she's being charged for 6 things, and I think 3 of which are, like, 3 counts of perjury. Because she just lied. She basically said she didn't know, like, anything. She said she didn't know about Epstein's sex life except for, like, when they had sex together and, like, a couple threesomes that they had.
With children.
She right? I know. She also denied any allegations of being involved in, like, the massage stuff, and also that he, like, she didn't know he had sex toys, which is all just, like, a
Mm.
load of shit. Yeah.
What the fuck ever.
There was some, like, kinda yucky information about them, like, there's, like, hospital records that were Virginia Roberts from 2001 for having, like, 3 weeks of vaginal bleeding and, like
Oh my god.
but that was, like, when she was really being sent around, I guess. And in the
Well, the thing that
documentary I watched, it was like she had mixed feelings because she's like, "It was weird, like, we would all go skiing together and, like,
right,
do these things," but then it's like, it was only included, like, to a point
right,
as, like, family and friends, and then it's like, "Okay, yeah, well, like, go fuck the prince," or, whatever.
right. Well, that makes sense. It's like, how are they gonna keep her on the hook if they're not giving
Mhm.
her something to hang on to?
Mhm, and I think there's always, like, the dangling of something better too, like, "Oh, well, if you do this,
Right,
this, and this, like, we'll pay for your school," or
right.
whatever. I think one girl, they actually did pay for her schooling, and she just dipped. She, like, said she was going and then, like, changed her identity and stuff.
Smart girl.
I know, right?
I mean, not saying that any of the girls that didn't think of that aren't smart. That has nothing to do with it. It's just like, I'm glad that she was able to remove herself from
Yeah,
it.
maybe, like, brave, ballsy. Yeah, I don't know what I would do. I don't know because they're scary.
They are scary, and you would think that they'd be able to find anybody with the
Yeah.
connections that they had.
Yeah, or, like, just have you killed. So some other woman who was trafficked, her name was either redacted or just not included in what I was reading. But she was quoted as saying that Epstein said, in his opinion, he needed to have 3 orgasms a day. It was biological, like eating.
What?
Yeah, like go buy a fleshlight.
It's like
Like,
you have an issue if that's what's going on with you.
well, and it's like if you need to come 3 times, like whatever, just like go to the bathroom and rub one out real quick. Like you're a dude, that's easy, it's fast. Like,
Right.
like I don't see what the big deal is.
Like, you don't need, like, sexual partners every single time if that's your problem.
Right? That are, like, underage that you do this, like, whole ritual with, like, come
Oh
on, like,
my
you're not fooling
god.
anybody, dude.
So
So, I mean,
gross.
as you and I know, and hopefully everybody else knows, Epstein was arrested, I believe in 2016. God, maybe it was later because it was, like, last year that he died, so maybe 2017.
Yeah,
I'm
something
like,
like that.
"Everybody knows this but me."
Right.
Um
Everyone knows the exact date and time that he was arrested, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but
Look it
I
up,
don't.
nerds.
I don't know. But Ghislaine somehow like stayed away for a whole year. Like nobody
Right, she
could
hid
find
out.
her. The Sun, the tabloid owned by her father's old rival, Rupert Murdoch, put a 10,000 pound bounty on Maxwell's head, looking just like
What?
for anybody to come forward with information. In order for people to claim the reward, the person winning needed to provide information exclusively to the Sun, which directly results in the Sun successfully making contact with Ghislaine Maxwell in person. Nothing happened with that, but it just thought it was kind of interesting.
Did they end up
Um,
finding her in, like, Massachusetts or something?
yeah, in New Hampshire on
New
July 2nd.
Hampshire. And wasn't the
So
FBI, like, tracking her the whole time? Like, they knew where she was, they were just waiting?
they were looking for her. Like, it seems like they were always like one step behind. Like, at one point, she staged a photo shoot with a friend and reporter in LA. at an In-N-Out burger.
Oh my God.
And it was like, this actually happened the day after the thing in the Sun happened. This was released through like a different tabloid. It's like, oh, I guess I'll never eat at In-N-Out again. But it's like, that was staged by the time that happened. Like she was already somewhere else. So the home that she was found in New Hampshire was bought for $1 million in December of last year by an anonymous LLC. The property was a 56-acre estate in like this really small rural town in New Hampshire. I don't remember the name of the newspaper, but I read like their local newspaper about it. Just like, oh, who would have thought, like in our town?
Oh my God.
Rumor has it that Epstein had given Maxwell like just like so much money in the years before he arrested and died. And those are the funds that she used to help her like evade the feds. Evidently from 2007 until 2011, Jeffrey Epstein sent her more than $20 million to 15 different bank accounts.
What?
Uh-huh.
Were they overseas bank accounts or were they?
Probably all over the place because she is a U.S. citizen, a U.K. citizen, a French citizen.
What? How can she be citizens of all of those places?
Well, she's French, so I
maybe that's what it is.
She's French, and then maybe her dad was UK, or maybe they moved from France to the UK or something and then applied for citizenship, or who fucking knows? Or they're just rich and they're like, give us passports.
And they're like, cool. Yeah, why not? You're not doing anything weird, right? Nah, it does matter.
Yeah, don't worry about it. So yeah, he was like giving her tons of money, and she obviously not only wanted but needed to buy this home anonymously because it's like a secret hideout,
Right.
Everyone would know if somebody's buying like $1 million estate who has been on the run. So she communicated with the realtor, like, oh, you can never meet me, whatever. And the realtor was like, no, this is weird. So that's why they ended up forming that LLC. And they bought it through the company. Yeah, and the realtor, I guess, thought that it was an actress.
She did act.
Yeah.
She had experience.
The Oscar goes to... So she was arrested at that place, and she like tried to leave when they got there. She tried to like run out through a window, and I guess like,
oh my God.
They also found, I didn't read about this, but I heard about it, that they found like a cell phone that she had like wrapped in foil, or like she did some dumb shit to try to like make them not be able to find it.
What a fucking idiot. I took the SIM card out so they will never know where I went. It's like, ma'am,
I know.
Are you sitting down? Because I've got some news for you.
They're here, get the foil. This actually says it was an 156-acre estate. Maybe when I typed, I just left a number out by accident. She's been charged with a lot of stuff. Enticement of a minor to travel to engage in sexual acts, conspiracy to transport minors with intent to engage in criminal sexual acts, transportation of a minor with intent to engage in criminal sexual acts. These all sound like the same thing over and over again, but they're not. And then also 2 counts of perjury because she lied under oath in 2016, like we spoke about before. She could face up to 36 years in jail.
I mean, for this kind of stuff, I feel like people never take it as seriously as it needs to be taken. Like, and that's super evident by the sentencing of Jeffrey Epstein the first time. They didn't take it seriously. They didn't say, oh, he's done this to multiple girls. We should probably lock this guy away. They were just like, meh, he's going to be fine. He won't do it again.
Well, and since the whole thing happened with Epstein and he ended up dying in custody or whatever, like since then, like in between then and now with Maxwell's arrest, like way more women have come forward because they're like, no, like fuck this. This is like not okay.
Right.
So there's even more evidence against her. There's more witnesses wanting to provide information. I just found the stuff about the tinfoil very funny to me. So the agents came and they searched the home and they found the cell phone on a desk with tinfoil wrapped around it, which they called
it was just on her desk, wrapped in tinfoil.
Prosecutors called it a misguided effort to evade detection, not by the press or public, which of course would have no ability to trace her phone or intercept her communications, but by law enforcement. She hired former members of the British military to guard her around the clock. She provided one of the guards with a credit card issued in the same name as the anonymous LLC company that bought the home in cash. And the same person like bought everything for her. So it's like based on all of this stuff, it's like so obvious that like she's,
incredibly guilty.
Yeah, incredibly guilty.
It seems like she would have wanted though to say, I have a lot of information, make my sentence lighter.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be
Maybe.
the smart thing to do, but I guess we're working with a woman who wraps her phones in tinfoil, so
But you know what? But also it's like, then what? You know, like who is higher than her on this? Like the royal family, I
right.
guess, or but their
Yeah, I guess if you're
charges.
working with you may or may not have information on a prince, then
Hmm.
your concern is not so much jail time, but like someone murdering you.
Exactly. I mean, the main reason why I wanted to talk about her, because I was reading an article about her complaining about her conditions in jail. Are
You're
you
in jail,
kidding
honey.
me? She has a ton of money. She has a ton of passports. Like, she's clearly trying to hide from the police.
Right.
Like, she's being held without bond, and she's not allowed to leave prison until her court case, which isn't until July 21st of 2021. That sucks, you
Yeah.
know, but like you're a flight risk, nobody trusts you. But just last week, her legal team sent a letter to a judge just saying that she was placed in uniquely onerous conditions. I think part of why she's being treated that way is because of, you know, Epstein's death while he was in prison, like while
Right.
on suicide watch, or, you know, that whole thing's a mystery. Like, who knows, you know, if he was murdered or committed suicide, but, you
Or if
know,
he
that's
was
her,
just allowed to commit suicide. Like, you're on
right?
suicide watch, but if we leave these shoelaces here, don't do anything with them.
Right. It's like,
Okay, see
by
you later.
suicide watch, we mean we will watch you commit suicide and be okay with
Yeah,
it.
like you can do that if you want to, and then you should want to.
Her legal team's just like, what the hell? Like, she's not Epstein. Like, she can't do anything. I guess, I mean, she's being held in a private cell. Like, she's in solitary confinement.
So she's not
She,
allowed to do anything. She's
no,
just like,
I don't believe so. She's not allowed to access a computer, you know,
okay,
to like look at documents related to her defense. But it's like, I get that because she's like well connected and like
right,
slimy. And why don't
right.
her lawyers just go in and meet with her if she's so lonely?
Because of the nature of how high profile this case is, it makes sense that they would want to protect her from other inmates because she would be
100%.
tormented.
100%.
She should
You
be
know,
happy to be alone.
the whole thing is really interesting to me. I don't really want to get into it, but it's like all the QAnon stuff and like the child
Mhm.
sex trafficking rings and like whatever. Like that's a lot. It's a lot, and I don't think that that's all real. But you know, like this is real,
Mhm.
and it like shows you that some of these things that like we talk about as conspiracy or oh like that would never happen or like the secret underbelly, it's like okay yeah maybe, but like this isn't a secret anymore that like rich people were involved in, important people were involved in, that like literally treats other people like their possessions.
I don't
No
know.
one cares that you're unhappy in jail. You suck.
Right, and you are
And
most definitely guilty.
before, like in 2016, she like presented at like some sort of conference, and like I guess she has a nonprofit that like does something about sustainable energy or something. But it's just like, how can you just go on with your life? Like, oh, that happened. That's fine. I think we're good. I'm gonna start a nonprofit. And you know what I mean? Like there's no conscience. There's no
Right.
regard for human life.
Well, I think it's also important though to say like, yeah, if you have people in positions of power, they have access to things. Some of those things is like illegal dealings or like immoral dealings, but
Hmm.
also the vast majority of child trafficking is done by children's family members.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like everyone wants to say, like, oh, all these people in power are trafficking children. It's like you need to look at families,
Hmm.
protect children from their families first, or make sure that they have protections and laws in
Hmm.
place where, like, the minute a child says, like, hey, my uncle did this to me, or hey, my dad or my mom did this to me, it's immediately taken really seriously. And people think that it
Hmm.
is, but it's just not.
Mm-mm.
Like, people are given second chances after they've done horrible things to their children.
Similar to this case, like initially, a lot of these girls were not found by Maxwell, but one girl go and then she'd recruit her friends. It's not like there was just some like creepy person stealing kids. These girls were being recruited by people they trusted. Like, oh well,
Mhm.
I went there and I made $200. Like, you should go do that. It was really fun, and you know what I mean. Like, the girls would get paid for bringing the new girls.
It is entirely possible that nothing sexual up to that point had happened or nothing overtly sexual. Like they
Yeah.
might have felt weird, but then like kind of talked themselves out of it. I mean, children are more at risk of repeating negative sexualized behavior when it's done to them because
Hmm.
it becomes normalized. You have to like program your mind to be able to accept it. So if you say it's normal, or if you say, okay, well, this only happens at this time, but then I'm fine, then you are going to be more likely to either repeat the behavior because you think, well, this is just what we do, or to engage other people in it, to say like, hey, there's this thing that you might be interested in because you have processed it in your mind to be able to handle it. You've normalized it so that you don't fucking panic. The mind is incredible. The mind is an amazing thing. The QAnon stuff just like really pisses me off because I'm like, you're pulling focus from the real problem here, which is that like most children are trafficked by their family. You should listen to people immediately if they say like, hey, there are these powerful people and they're running a sex ring and I was trafficked. Yes. Absolutely look at it, absolutely fully investigate it, make sure that people are brought to justice. But the QAnon people are not interested in justice. They're interested in creating chaos. That's all they want. They just want to bring powerful people down. And that's not super useful. It's not about children. It's about bringing powerful people down.
Exactly. And that's what we've been reading about in the news.
Just some light reading. I hope Ghislaine like gets everything that she possibly can as far as sentencing, everything that they can possibly get her for. I hope she is brought down by it.
Me too. And I hope she continues to be uncomfortable in jail. Like, get over it.
Nobody cares about your feelings because you don't care about anybody else's feelings. So fuck off. Bitch.
Yeah.
So many people want to believe that women are not capable of awful, horrible sexual abuse. And I think it's really important to say
they are.
Absolutely. Like, it's the same thing that makes people think that if you make a mistake as a mom, you are the worst mom ever. It's like people don't think of women as capable of error as far as like maternal instinct is concerned. So when they make any sort of error in judgment, it's the worst thing. Like, they're awful, they're abusive, they're horrible. But then they also don't catch people doing awful things because they just assume that all women are maternal and good and not capable of violence. Right.
Friendly and chatty and
like she could never like
it's weird, and it makes me wonder if she did like creepy stuff before she was with Jeffrey. I doubt it. I think it was him.
I mean, she might have been interested in it and just not had an outlet for it. It could be like entirely his influence, and then she just got involved in it. She's nasty.
And it's like a lot of like power stuff, you know, because they could just be having threesomes with like regular, not that girls aren't regular people, but they're not regular people for adults to have sex with.
Right.
You know, they could be having sex with just like consenting adults, but maybe it's like the control and like the fear. And
I mean, I personally believe that that's what it is, because people don't have sex with children because it's pleasant. They have sex with them because it's control, because they can do whatever they want. And the child can't say anything about it. Or the teenager, you know, the person who is poor and desperate can't say anything about it.
Yeah, because like who's going to believe them? Or I could go on and on in circles about this shit.
Yeah, it's nasty. You know what Ghislaine is?
What?
She's a nasty woman.
Yeah.
But not in the good way.
In the worst way.
She's just like straight gross.
But I wish her well.
I'm glad we didn't have to do a deep dive on this.
I know. I kept it very shallow.
Thank
God.
God.
It was about people, it was about places, and it was about things.
Oh no.
Straight up though, right?
Oh my God.
This lady did some stuff. I read about it in the news. And now
I don't know any names.
Share it with your friends.
Yes. Oh my God. So we don't know what we're going to talk about next time. We're going to fly by the seat of our pants, and we'll see what we bring. But it's my turn next time. I'll see what I can bring to the table.
Do you think it's going to be more upsetting than mine?
God, I hope not. I'm looking for like some light reading. I think you know what? I was wanting to do the why some animals are able to be domesticated and others aren't.
I'm very interested in that.
Yeah.
On that note, just quickly, I watched a documentary about flamingos, and flamingos are incredible. They're amazing. You should watch the documentary on Disney. They feed their babies throw up and blood.
Blood?
Yeah, like some of their own blood and DNA. It's
so
crazy.
You're saying that flamingos are vampires.
Basically, that can live in 130-degree salt lands. It's crazy. You should watch it. Maybe we should have movie recommendations at the end of our episodes.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, did you watch Vivarium?
I didn't, but I'm interested.
So deeply
upsetting.
I've been
watching 90 Day Fiance for like a week. I know, I want to watch it. It's on whenever
the exact busy. Opposite.
Whenever Benny's busy, I watch like my trash TV, you know, and he's been working on this studio.
Yeah, well, I remember saying like you shouldn't watch Vivarium while you're high, and you're like, oh shit, never mind.
Too late.
Like I'm not gonna have to watch this tonight then.
Text me at like 7 and be like, bitch, put that movie on.
Hell yeah, Amazon Prime, do the goddamn thing. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us for a shallow dive while we're on break. You can find out more about us on ireadathing.com, and you can listen to our podcast wherever you stream your podcasts. Multiple podcasts. And we love you. Look, Emma's doing a thumbs up. You can look at that thumbs up if you go to our YouTube or our Facebook page.
I'm so uncomfortable on camera.
You look comfortable on camera, though, so you're hiding it well.
I'm an actress. Alrighty.
All right, guys. See you next time.
Bye.